Hello, and welcome to Turn the Page. My name is Monique Snyder, Communications Manager at Wicomico Public Libraries. Our first guest is Pat Layton. She is one of our 2018 adult winners for Light of Literacy. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you.
So you have a very healthy volunteer life. You volunteer at the library, but you also volunteer outside the library. Tell us about your outside the library volunteer efforts.
Well, there are two main things, I guess. One is the Little Free Library, for which the Light of Literacy Award was given to me. And the other is Agape Ministry. This is a ministry through the Episcopal Church to children of incarcerated parents. So we have enrichment activities for the kids throughout the year, and we have a camp session in the summer for 5 days.
That's amazing.
It's fun.
And I want to talk about both of those things. So tell me more about the Little Free Library. I know I read that you had one on your street or on your sidewalk?
The corner of our house.
Okay.
Our son told us about it about 2 years ago. A man in Wisconsin started it. His mother was a librarian, and in her honor, he made one of these things. They look sort of like a birdhouse. I don't know if you can actually see it, but it has shelves, and he made one and put it on his property, and it caught on. Now there are Little Free Libraries in 50 countries. There are thousands of them, and the whole concept is that you can take a book, you can leave a book, you can bring it back. You don't have to bring it back. It just puts books in the hands of all kinds of people.
That's amazing. So anyone can walk up, take a book if they would like to, leave a book if they would like to, and it's just kind of the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, it's
a
wonderful.
Very fluid effort.
I never know when I go out to check it what's going to be there. You know, what will have appeared and what will have disappeared.
A Camp Agape, that sounds like a wonderful way to contribute back to community. Just tell us all about that. I'm really interested in what you have done with that ministry.
That started about 12 years ago, and it started just as a camp. As time went by, we decided to try to keep the kids together. It's refreshing for them to be with other children who have the same problem. Sometimes you can be ostracized if you have a parent in jail, but when you're with a group, everybody has that problem. You don't necessarily talk about it, but you don't feel different. So this year we took a bunch of kids to the Delmarva Discovery Center. They had a wonderful time. They touched a snake,
Ooh.
and they fed a horseshoe crab. That was a lot of fun. And we have our high school students next month we're taking to the Rock and Roll Revival. I think that's the first time we've done that. That should be fun.
So you're really giving experiences to children who may not otherwise have those experiences as well.
Partially, but I think the children who join our program are already the children who have amazing caregivers, whether it's their grandmothers or their mothers or their dads, their aunts, whoever's taking care of them. They're the ones who see that they get enrolled in our program, so they're the ones who see they get enrolled in other things too. They're great kids.
So what did it mean to you to have won a Light of Literacy Award?
It's a great honor, but it's also an embarrassment, Monique.
Oh, really?
Well, it's so easy to do. You know, the free library is so much fun. I go out to mine every day and check, but I also check the one at Red Swings a couple of times a week. Doug Buck, who was an Eagle Scout, did this for his project. He made 4 little free libraries for around the county, and I have a special interest in the Red Swings one because that was built in memory of our grandson. So I check that one a couple of times a week, and it's just a fun thing to do. People who do tutoring, people who are teaching adults who can't read, or people who are coming here as immigrants, I mean, that's hard work, and that's a true dedicated volunteer. Mine's easy.
Well, you are dedicated. I know you do spread the light of literacy, not to be cliche, with the students at Agape Ministries and on your own street block with your Little Free Library.
Well, we do try to have books for our Agape kids at our events too. We try to provide books all the time for them. Linda Prohaska, who was also a winner, is in charge of that program.
You guys were co-winners
We were.
last year, correct?
We were.
So how would you encourage someone else to nominate a person or organization for a Light of Literacy Award?
Just look around you. I have several friends who have done things that I think are worthy of that. The tutoring people, the people who teach adult illiterates. Literacy is truly the foundation of education. And if you're not literate, you're doomed. And education's the foundation of democracy. So if we want a democratic country, really truly want to be a great country, education is the main thing.
And you kind of touched on this, but I wanted to ask you the importance of literacy in your own words. How vital is that to a person?
Extremely. Our second child was in first grade when we left this country and went to Holland for a year and a half. He had not yet learned to read. We put him in a Dutch school, and I was so afraid he would not be able to read English or Dutch. He ended up reading both, and I still don't understand how. Mm-hmm. But I was so afraid at that point he would be damaged, and he's done well. And we were so happy he's come back to this country. He went into third grade, and he was fine. I don't know. I don't know how to express it, but literacy it's just essential. Essential.
And there are so many types of literacies. We think of the traditional literacy as just reading and writing, but there are also other literacies like health literacy, reading my doctor's orders, fulfilling my prescription in the correct way, reading a medicine dosage that I'm supposed to give to my child, or financial literacy, going to the store. I gave the cashier this amount of money and I should receive that amount of money back, reading how much things cost. So many things that we may not think of as literacies are right. Literacy in our society. And I think that's why Light of Literacy is so important as well, because we're really highlighting those who are trying to promote that in Wicomico County. And it's important because we take for granted those who do have those literacies. I think we take for granted how important it is in someone else's life to have that literacy and how detrimental it is if they don't have that literacy.
You're exactly right. We have family members involved in healthcare, and I remember stories of people taking medicine improperly, thinking that you understood that you were supposed to inhale it and they were trying to drink it or mm-hmm. something like that. So you're absolutely right.
So we thank you for all that you've done to promote literacy in Wicomico County, and we just encourage those who may know of someone who is doing something that you have done or is doing something else to promote literacy to nominate a person or organization for a Light of Literacy Award ceremony.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, Pat.
And thanks, Monique.
If you know a person or organization that is doing so well in promoting literacy in Wicomico County, we encourage you to nominate them for a Light of Literacy Award. Information can be found at our website, lightofliteracy.org. Welcome back to Turn the Page. Our next guest is James Tobat. He's a job developer at Dove Point in Salisbury, Maryland. Welcome, James.
Thank you.
So, in your opinion, why is Project READ important?
Well, I feel like it's important because it's effective. The public education system does what it can, but there are still folks who kind of fall through the cracks with that. And what Project READ does is, kind of goes that extra mile. It offers the free service because a lot of what I deal with is folks that are looking for jobs, and if they had to pay a tutor, there'd be no chance of them doing that. You have to. So the service is free, which makes it easier for the folks that I work with, and also it's a one-on-one service. So there's no one else in the class to feel like you need to catch up to or wait up. It goes at your own pace.
So in December 2017, the executive director of Dove Point, Mr. Hackett, presented the library with a plaque kind of commemorating the library's partnership with Dove Point and helping its consumers with their literacy efforts. How does Project READ benefit your consumers?
Well, as a job developer, folks will come to me at all different ranges of job readiness. Some of them have never had a job, never had an experience filling out an application, don't know how to use a computer, can't read an application, and so on. And the more someone knows, the more they can help themselves. So if, for instance, if a person can read an application, if a person can at least read through a list of jobs and say, I like this, I don't like this, just gets them that farther along in the process. In addition to that, it helps them with their self-confidence, which, helps everything in your life. And
does it make your job at Dove Point any easier?
Yeah, yes, it does. Like I said, if they can sort of begin the process themselves and they know where to start. Like some folks can do many different things, but they just have issues with the process of looking for a job, and a lot of that involves reading. A lot of that involves self-confidence. A lot of that involves, interviewing and things like that. So the more a person can do for themselves, the easier it is for me. I can, help someone else who needs a little bit more help, and so, yes, it does make it easier.
We held our first annual Project READ recognition ceremony last fall in 2017, and a lot of Dove Point's consumers received certificates for progressing through the program. How does it make you feel to see them complete such a program?
It is rewarding, to see that. I just think of one case in particular. There was a young lady who, we'd have appointments and we'd talk on the phone for different things, and you'd ask her a question, and there'd be a long pause of just no answer whatsoever, and I'm thinking, how's this going to work on an interview and things like that. Well, since she has started Project READ and she's actually progressed on to the GED program, just the change in her self-confidence is worth its weight in gold. I mean, she's going from not being able to, from being scared in the middle of a one-on-one conversation to being able to speak in front of a crowd of people. I think she spoke at that ceremony and a few different ones about what Project READ means to her, and that's just rewarding to see that.
And how important, in your words, is literacy in everyday life?
I'd say it's extremely important. Everything from just the self-confidence it gives you to know what's happening around you, to know what's expected. It makes you feel like you can kind of navigate the world for yourself a little bit more instead of having to trust someone else all for everything.
Thank you so much for being here. And we really do value the partnership between the library and Project READ. It's an incredible program, and we hope that it's something that goes on for many, many years. Thanks for joining us, James.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for tuning in to Turn the Page. If you have questions about anything you've seen or heard on today's episode, please visit wicomicolibrary.org.
couldn't give a date of when the bookmobile started, but I could say I remember it as a kid. I remember the bookmobile visiting our elementary school and having that opportunity to get on board and use your library card to check out a book. And so it's certainly been a wonderful privilege to have the bookmobile come in here at Fruitland Primary School. Research shows that the more children are exposed to letters, to words, to vocabulary, to writing, ultimately to stories and literature as they're growing and as they're developing, the stronger they will be as lifelong readers. And that starts at that early age, exposing them to that literature. That's where the bookmobile comes in. Every day that it pulls up to the curb, it's bringing that literature to the school, to the students, to where it's needed. You know, many of our students don't have transportation to get to the public library, or in some cases even to get to the mall where we have some of our other satellite library services. So when that bookmobile is able to transport that literature directly into the community, you're bringing it to where it's most needed. And I certainly think by just seeing the smiles of the kids when they're on board, seeing the pride that they have as they select their books, you can see the benefits. That just tells the story right there. I know our parents are enjoying the opportunity to read with their students at home, and we often hear from parents, what are some good books that I can be reading with my child at home? And the bookmobile provides that opportunity to put that book in the child's hand for them to take home and the parent and child to read together.
I can remember he was getting ready for a spelling test. And he has his things all over the table, and I have my things all over the table. And I was just like pulling my hair out, like how am I gonna help him with his work and how I'm gonna actually be able to focus on mine. His grades were not so good. It kind of made me want to give up on school and just focus on what I had to do for him. I said, let me try to reach out. So I reached out. I called the library. I said, hi, do you guys have anything that I can do for tutoring? And they were like, we're rolling out this new one-on-one homework help, and they'll help him with whatever he's studying. She was like, well, we're actually gonna be starting this at 3 o'clock today.
Here we go. How are you? Come here. I'm so happy to see you. I'm glad you're here. You got some homework to do tonight.
So when he comes in, he signs in, and she asks him, what are we doing today? What do you want to start with? And he knows he's special. He knows. And he loves it. He looks forward to it more than he does coming home riding his four-wheeler or going to the park. And then I go over there and I crack my books open and I can focus. And he can focus. So it's helped me tremendously. When we started homework help, his grades were D's, E's, NI's, incompletes. And since then, he has gotten 6 A's. You can't put a price on how Miss Tracy works with my son, and she's just finding different ways for him to get educated. In my mind, as a nurse, soon to be, I'll be finding different ways for my patients to get well. So it goes hand in hand because you're helping somebody become better.
It's so important to focus on what our next generation needs to succeed. As state's attorney, we see a lot of crime, we see a lot of the cases, and some statistics say around 70% of our incarcerated individuals that they do not read above a 5th grade reading level. So these are individuals that don't derive the same benefits that the literate have derived from a lifetime of reading. I was able to be brought in and see a lot of the programs that the library has, and we're just very fortunate in the community to have a library that cares about its citizens and care about its children, and they're just doing so much to increase the literacy rate here and get children excited about reading. I just see that as benefiting the health and well-being of our community. My favorite books to read to the children are books about exploring space, being an astronaut. And one of my favorite was To the Moon, and it was about Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin going to the moon. And I have a real Apollo era spacesuit. They just love seeing the suit in the book, and then they love just seeing it come out of the bag and playing with it. One of the benefits of our local library system is they have a job center, so they help with resume rating. They help with the job searches, and they provide the computers so that people can communicate with employers in case they don't have a computer at home. These are all incredible incredible benefits of our local Wicomico County Public Library. And I'm just very thankful for the services and the support that the Wicomico County Library System provides to our citizens.
I did 15 years in the United States Navy. After I retired from the military, I relocated to Maryland, and it was about being someplace that I could afford to live off my retirement. I did not have internet at home because that was like a luxury I couldn't afford. So that's why we would come to the library. I would come in, I'd have to sit in these real tiny chairs in the children's section to look for work while my grandbaby played. And one of the ladies that worked here, she saw that I was looking for jobs. And she said, well, are you aware that we have a job search center? And I was like, no, I didn't know that.
Hi, welcome, come on in. Just have a seat there and we'll get
Being
started.
able to come to the job search center and just focus on just that, looking for work, was a great help. The Veterans Affairs lady who I started working with, she let me know about a job opening for Homeland Security. And she said to me, Linda, I think you'd be perfect for this job. So I took that job announcement, I came over to the library, went into the job search center where I started applying for the job. I received the offer letter that said, congratulations, you will be starting with the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. All my prayers had been answered. I'm finding that one of my greatest joys is waking up now every morning and heading to work. I think I'm smiling every day and just knowing that I'm going to a job that I enjoy. I'm working around great people, and it's no better feeling.
Everything that we do here is in service to our mission, which is to enrich lives and to build our community. The libraries are really becoming more of a community hub. They have all kinds of activities, programs like cooking classes, things like how to create a comic book, and they also have things like yoga classes, and at no cost. People come in and they just thank you because they didn't know that the library provided things like that. It's always our goal, always, to go over and beyond and to exceed people's expectations. Our mission number one is to serve our community. Anything that we can do to enrich their lives, we're just here to serve.